Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching NDTV. Justice Hema Committee report on the condition of women in the Malayalam film industry has made some startling revelations about deep-seated issues in what is seen as a male-dominated industry. Now, released on Monday, this report, which has been delayed for at least 5 years now, sheds light on the harrowing experiences of women working in this industry, from junior artists to actors. According to this report, the industry is controlled completely by a mafia that includes top actors, directors, producers, and it also creates a hostile environment for women, especially the newcomers. In many cases, women have to give sexual favors in order to get opportunities. They are often categorized by men as willing and unwilling based on their approach, and sometimes it is for something as basic as good food that they are forced to oblige. Now, the report also revealed that the production controller or whoever gives a role to the cinema first approaches the woman, and even if it's the other way around, she is often told to make adjustments and compromise. Now, these things are not something we are hearing for the first time, and it is not just about the Malayalam film industry alone. We have seen a whole Me Too movement in this country, and that brought out many such cases. And it's not the Malayalam film industry that can be condemned for this, because these stories are from everywhere: Bollywood, Telugu film industry, Tamil film industry, Bhojpuri music industry. But there's one thing that's common amongst all of this. There's no fear of consequence, clearly. There is a certain code with which these industries operate. There's no big gun speaking about it, which is why we thought we will discuss the findings of this report today. We will be, of course, joined by a panel of experts, joining me now is Revathy Asha, veteran actor. Thank you so much, Revathy ma'am, for joining me on NDTV. You were amongst the few who pushed for this report, and you would be very happy that this has finally come out. Tell us about, how do you feel that this report has finally come out, and what is your reaction to this?
Yeah, thank you so much, Vasudha. I heard the introduction, and yes, it has been overwhelming. It almost finished like a nail-biting finish. It was quite dramatic in the court. But now the work starts, because the report is extremely detailed, and there are a lot of paragraphs that are quite sensitive, and I totally understand what is being written. So it's going to take us a little time to work out what is the next step.
Right. Also, Revathy ma'am, the report, like you rightly said, captures in detail the extremely serious offences that women in the film industry face. I know it's a long report, and all of us need some time to actually understand and think about it. But what are the basic corrective measures that you would suggest? Because you are one of the few people who have always spoken on the problem of casting couch in this industry.
See, the corrective measures are going to take time. The very first thing that WCC did was with regards to the ICC formation, and that itself, even today, most productions don't have it, and there's constantly issues on what is the formation and what are the things that need to be done and things like that. So everything is going to take some time, but yes, we will work on it. We are going to have several meetings internally to figure out how to go about this entire report.
Right. My last question to you, ma'am, this is clearly not just about the Malayalam film industry. Taking on an actor like Dilip would also have not been easy, and of course coming up with WCC, which now is being credited for a movement like this, for at least getting this report out. What would you suggest to other industries, movie industries? You are somebody who have worked across states. What is your advice to other film industries in the country as well?
Vasudha, there is no advice here, One of the most important things is we need to have the courage to hold hands. It is so easy to push whatever issues we are facing, or a colleague is facing, or, in a particular project. Just say that, it's better to keep quiet and keep walking. I mean, it's so easy to do that, but it is definitely harder to handhold and stand up. So that is what is the most important, and that we did for the first time in 2017. It happened like a rage, People just came, and we said we have to talk about it, because this one woman has had the courage to speak up and actually go to the police station directly after an incident. So that kind of changed everybody's attitude. A handful of us got together and the movement started, and it hasn't stopped. So Hema Commission is part of that movement, which started on that particular night, on the 17th of February 2017. So, so something needs to wake us up.
Right.
And that is what happens at every point, like what is happening in Kolkata for the, recently. So I don't know why, but something like this has to wake people up to walk together in unity.
So walking together is the most important. Thank you, Revathy, for joining us on this show. To give you a context, the Hema Committee was constituted, like Revathy Asha was saying, after one Malayalam actress's assault case came to light. Now, the actress was allegedly sexually assaulted in a moving vehicle in 2017. Malayalam actor Dilip is an accused amongst others in this case. He is facing prosecution, and that is the background to this Hema report. Also joining me now is Anjali Menon, who is a film director, also part of the WCC. Thank you, Ms. Menon, for joining us on this broadcast. And congratulations! It is your combined effort that we are able to see this report today. Some of the allegations levelled by the actors who have deposed to the commission qualify as serious criminal offences. When I was reading that today, it is actually very depressing. But none of this is also new because we keep hearing this. But to put all of that in writing actually takes courage. Will you advise the state government to initiate criminal measures against those who have been accused?
I think the whole purpose of the report for us, just as Revathy was mentioning, is to gather an understanding of what are the goings on within the film industry and how that impacts, people of different genders, because we are seeking a place that has equal opportunities and equal space for everyone. And when you have such kind of a power disparity, then we are affected. And our entire, purpose has actually been to try and correct that and to bring it to a more equitable space. When it comes to, pursuing about the criminal actions that have been witnessed by the commission, I think that is an onus that lies with the people who've made the complaints, because that's the way our legal system works, that the person who, has gone through that experience will have to take that call. And our purpose through the last 7 years, what we've always done is, we always refer to them as survivors rather than victims.
Right.
And it has been to hold the hand of a survivor. If they prefer to put it behind them and walk ahead, then that be the case. If they prefer to complain and pursue it, then that be the case. So ours is a supportive role there, but here our main role is in actually trying to do whatever it takes to make sure our workplace environment is a clean and safe one. And this report plays a big role because it's been, we've been in waiting for several years now, and to see it finally see light of day makes a big difference to us.
Right. Also, Ms. Menon, would it have been better if we had known some of the perpetrators at least? Because, at some point, you read the report and you just get angry and you are just wishing to know who these perpetrators are.
See, it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation, because when a lot of people came and deposed before the committee, they did so because they knew they would be anonymous. They did so with the oath of, they were assured that their identities would not be revealed. And when you do not reveal the identity of one, then you cannot reveal the identity of the other. So, it's a bit of that situation. People would not have really come forth if it was something where they had to come and openly complain. No, that would have been a very, very difficult case. And, in this situation, it was more important for us to understand what is going on so that it does not happen in the That was our entire prerogative. Each of these people who have actually come forth and spoken, they've done it because they do not want to see this happening in the future again.
Absolutely.
And it is not for any personal gain. So I think that is what needs to be appreciated and applauded, that they did it selflessly. And finally now, it is giving people a clearer picture of what is going on.
Right. Ms. Menon, also, does it really bother you that, the big guns are as usual quiet and there is a structural silence, which, I mean, I'm using the same words as mentioned in the report. The fact that there are people like Revathy Asha, amongst men who have come out and said things, does it not, but it's also that a group of persuasive women like you have come forward and made this happen. Is that enough, or do you think that the industry, men especially, need to sort of rise up to this challenge and at least break the silence over something like this?
See, change has started. I think that is what I want to really focus on, because if you look at how things have happened, like Revathy was mentioning, a group of women are triggered to come together because of a terrible incident. And from that point on, we have been consistently voicing the other narrative that it is not all happy and peaceful on this front, that there are a lot of people suffering, there is a lot of subjugation, there is a lot of exploitation. So when we've consistently said that, and now you have a quasi-judicial study saying the same thing, then what we've said is validated. Now it is for the people to act. Now, in the duration of this report coming out, what has happened is, earlier we were severely criticized for speaking up against anyone who's belonging in the industry. Now that has turned around, where we have the public support, we have media very strongly supporting us, we have wonderful people from the legal community and the activist community supporting us. And that is what has actually made this happen.
Right.
Just us asking for it would not have had, it would have started things off, but to bring it to light of day, all this support was required. And I think now people will have to sit up and take notice and make the change due. Because at the end of the day, cinema is something that is viewed by the public in a very active way. What people are doing off screen very much affects the impact on screen as well.
Right.
And especially in a state like ours, where people are very aware.
Right.
And I see this as a very progressive step, that we live in a place where we can have this women's collective and speak so vocally and still be working in this industry. We also have a place where the government itself actually commissions such a study based on our request.
Right.
A place where such a report has actually seen the light of day.
Absolutely.
So all these are very progressive steps. There are so many other industries in India, so many film industries, where I'm sure there are similar things happening.
Right.
But just because things are quiet does not mean things are okay.
Absolutely. Thank you, Anjali Menon, for joining us on this very important broadcast. Also joining me now is Veena Paul, who's a member of the WCC, and Chetan Kumar, also a film actor in the Kannada film industry. Veena, to you first. The report also reveals that every aspiring female actor is made to believe that violence is par for the cause and she cannot succeed, much less sustain in Malayalam cinema. How do you see this report? Did you expect the findings to be this? What would be your comments? Veena Paul?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Okay, we'll try and fix that. Chetan, to you now, if you look at the report, there are some of the allegations that have been leveled by actresses are, okay, let me go back to Veena Paul. Chetan, thank you so much for waiting. I'll just come back to you. Veena Paul, I was, you are also part of the WCC. Tell us some of the things that the report captures in great detail, the extremely serious offences are sort of really saddening and upsetting. Did you expect the industry to be like this, or was it something that and you just wanted it to be part of a report?
Well, I think we certainly did know that there was a lot of problem, and we had been talking, as you know, we got together in 2017. But it was never founded on any fact. This was the problem, that there was so much talk in the air about the problems women were facing, whether it was sexual harassment, whether it was about getting work, about feeling comfortable in workspaces. So I think, we knew that this did exist, but how severe was the problem, how systemic, I think now we know.
Right. Also, Ms. Paul, the internal complaints committee, the report says, that are set up for every film, seem to be really ineffective. So, what kind of corrective measures do you suggest? Because there have to be some rules that, producers will also have to follow, but how to make these sort of bodies in some ways effective?
Well, we fought for the ICs as well for the simple reason that there is otherwise no mechanism at all for women or anybody to complain, actually. So we did fight for that, and we did discover that it is not working so well. In spite of the best intentions of many, because of the power lobbies, maybe because of lack of gender sensitization in the industry, because of various reasons, it is not working actually. Uh, so I think it is for the government to put its head to this report. She has made suggestions. I think it's deeply an attitudinal change that needs to take place, not only in the Malayalam film industry, but in all film industries, which still function very feudally.
Yeah. To you, Chetan, like Peena Paul is also saying, this thing is clear that this situation is not just in the Malayalam film industry, and we are just thankful that at least, we know what's happening there, and this is only thanks to, a number of proactive actors like Peena Paul and several others. But the scene in other movie industries is clearly worse. What has been your experience like? You're also a male actor working in this industry. How are allies among men looked at by other people? Do you how often do you get to stand for women, support women, and how do you think Chennai, Hyderabad, Mumbai, do you think these places also have the courage to look within and bring out a report like this?
First of all, we commend the Hema Committee report. 235-page report that is brought out. It's a very significant step for all Indian cinema industries. And in this time when like only some kind of heinous, gross, brutal kind of gang rape or something in Kolkata occasionally finds outrage, something like sexual harassment in the film industries with casting couch, which has gone on for generations possibly, is normalized, is almost accepted, is almost said this is something you have to accept if you want to be a woman in the film industry. We're glad that this Hema Committee report has come out and is shedding light. WCC has taken strong steps, and they have shown that they truly care about the film industry. They are the ones who are making the change, and we commend even the Kerala government who has accepted this, sanctioned this, and has taken this seriously. We hope all governments do that. See, in 2017, we also founded a film industry for rights and equality, and we started the first ICC to tackle sexual harassment. In actuality, there was from 2014-15, I had brought up this issue after many women colleagues and other people and my own study. I realized that this is a plague, and this is not something women must only tackle. This is something that we all, humans or people who care about the film industry, must fight. When I went to talk to men in positions of power, they in fact denied its existence. If you deny its existence, you don't have to acknowledge it, you don't have to do anything about it, it continues to fester. So in 2017, when we started the organization, many women supported, and there was a film industry for rights and equality, and we started the ICC. Subsequently, we mobilized so much that we took a very strong step in the Me Too movement and supported the survivors and the victims. And it was but the women faced a lot of victim shaming, victim blaming, and there was no actual kind of objective, transparent investigation that was going on. After our pushing, which I think it was a good sign, there was an investigation by the police. Now, we can't accept that, we can expect it to be conviction, but there was at least an investigation that says we're going to take this seriously, which is a good step. So we believe that I've already written to, I've put in some post-op, but we want the government to get involved. While I respect that in the Kerala situation, there is something where every film team must have an ICC. I don't see that as a really strong corrective mechanism, because the people who are supposed to start the ICC themselves are the perpetrators oftentimes. So we need.
But Chetan, what do you think is the alternative? Because the ICC is also something that these women have really fought for. And if I just read a little bit from the report, it says that cinema is a male-dominated industry. It is an exclusive boys' club where men sit and chat over long hours at night discussing the script or a movie or other aspects of the project at hand or future projects. This is what the committee report says, and it also says that a lot of discussions take place over alcohol. That conversation does not always remain focused on movies, and many digressions happen. They crack vulgar jokes with sexual innuendos. So clearly, this problem goes beyond just open aggression or the rape culture. There's everyday sexism that's also part of this.
This is all intertwined. This is all a reality. Absolutely. The thing is, how we hold is even a woman who accepts this reality and so-called compromises is also a victim, and the person who rejects this is also a victim. So this is a systemic problem. And how we can solve this in some ways is, I feel, if we could get some lawyers, some government involvement where the government sanctioned the ICC. We went to the film chamber. We started our own. And then the film chamber said they would start the ICC, but they haven't done it even after repeated statements. If the government, after this, in a Karnataka or something we want to start, they take the reins and they actually get people in the film industry involved, there can be a stronger mechanism where, and awareness programs must also happen. It can't just be an ICC. It has to have strong awareness programs. There must be active steps by all people in the film industry to question this power structure. Because if you look at film sets, it's not like an office setup. It's like you go out late at night, oftentimes you go out in different places. Women are very much outnumbered. You're talking about 50 to 1, 50 to 2. You're talking about you work only for 3 to 6 months and then you shift sets. So it's a very unregulated and very money-minded, male-dominated. A lot of victim shaming, victim blaming also goes on. So this is definitely a very positive step. And the fact that the government is actually sanctioning and taking seriously is a role model for other states. And we hope Karnataka does the same. And we will ensure that we push for it and push for justice where women are taken not on the basis of like who compromised or so does not, but somebody who is on the basis of their merit, their talent, and how much they fit the role and how much truly value they can offer in terms of a human dignity for the film. And that should be the goal of the industry.
Right. Thank you, Chitam, for joining us with those insights. My colleague Uma Sudhir spoke to Asha Joseph, who's a filmmaker and also part of the WCC that pushed for this report. Let's listen into that chat.
So I'm joined by Dr. Asha Joseph, founder member of the Women in Cinema Collective, the body which was actually responsible for this committee being set up by the government in Kerala and now coming up with this very, very important and significant report. Dr. Asha, thank you so much for joining us. The report seems to suggest there are huge problems in the industry and for women working conditions. It is intimidating. It's a very unsafe environment for women to work in. How do you expect this report to be now carried forward by the state government? What message should we take and what policy changes or otherwise are you expecting? Is this going to be followed by police action, you think?
Thank you. Hi. And as you have said, this is a very important report. And also because it seems that in India, there has not been any such other reports, commissioned by the government, because it holds a lot of authenticity. We, as we know, I mean, still today we are being, plagued by the entire question of people working, I mean, women working and working spaces and what happens to them, the safety, security, everything. So this Hema Committee report as such, we see that there are about 17 observations and, she has gone very deep into all these 17 observations. Among these 17 observations, there are about 7 or I think about 10 of them itself, they are about body of women and how the bodies are being treated. And there's, the physical discomforts that the women are facing. So definitely we need to actually have this whole idea about what will the government do on it. We also think that about 4 years, we are not seeing the report. That's also because of the pressure that has been mounted on the government not to publicize the report. That's what we assume. I mean, so because of that, there is a lot of weightage on the organizations in film industry. There are about 4 to 5 very major, different categories of film organizations. And definitely there are actors, there are other, technicians and directors, everybody. So basically we find is that, as you said earlier, that there is a kind of normalization of this whole violence, that has been happening in the industry for, I mean, it's about 100 years now, Malayalam cinema, almost 100 years. So we see that it is very difficult, as we know that patriarchy has been here for the last 8,000 years or so. So we know that it is not possible to directly, get into that kind of resistance mode. But definitely we need a lot of collaborative work. That's what we think. I mean, we have not discussed it or finalized anything because the report came yesterday. So we think that all the organizations...
The capital is controlled by men, and they like the report itself mentions, it's a handful of men who are actually holding the industry, and there is no reason to presume that this is obviously limited just to a Kerala. It is certainly would have resonance in every other industry as well. So how do we now make sense of this and say that, I mean, it has become a starting point for a debate to say this is a reality check. This is what is your condition in your industry, and we cannot turn our eyes away from it. What can we do specifically, you think, which should make this meaningful for us as working women in our workspaces to become safer?
Yeah, the very important point that this committee says is that, I mean, that has to be discussed and maybe debated to a larger extent, that ICs are not, functioning, or ICs are not, in especially in entertainment industry. Let us take it as an entertainment industry. So the major observation is that IC is not working in film sets. Actually, WCC had gone to court saying that ICs should work in film sets, and we had gotten a kind of verdict on that. But we have been trying for 1 year. It is not like, everybody is talking about it, but because they are saying that, the film sets are just for maybe 30 days, what can we do? Like, it's a very small thing, but that's not working.
So the Hema Committee report coming up with some very important but shocking findings on the state of women in Malayalam film industry. But in the last few days, we have seen in bus, hospitals, even these places are not safe when it comes to women, which is why probably it's time to question the structural silence of the onlookers and society.